now they're recorded now. What's the next process? Mix down? Do you have the whole band sit on the couch, or the visionary?
Whoever wants to. But for me personally, I mean, this is different in every situation. For me personally, it's I don't have a whole lot of room in my mixing room, for one thing. Okay. So it usually ends up being maybe one or two guys in the band, or what usually happens most of the time is that I'll send them all home and I'll make some mixes and send it to them, and then we can get together and make tweaks based on what I already have. Because sometimes they could be some grunt work and just engineer janitorial work that I got to do that's not really creative, that they don't need to be a part of. I like to get close to having a pretty good mix before I start getting people involved in with it again. But again, it's it's up to the when I do the if I'm just in this project as an engineer, if I'm hired, that's whoever's paying for it. That's that's the boss. If they want to mix it themselves while I make coffee, that's fine. I don't recommend it, but
I've done that sometimes for editing, so I'm very familiar with Pro Tools. And sometimes if I'm doing a fix or something like that, I'll just say, let me take the chair.
Yeah. Oh, cool. But, yeah, I've done that too.
Yeah. It's just faster that way, But we had some tracks that were kind of messed up, and I had to make some fixes last minute. Like, I don't want to bring everyone back in, and I knew exactly what I wanted, so I just said, let me have your studio for the afternoon. You go off, and I'll do the things I need to do. And then he can go in there and add the polish of whatever his equipment and his plugins and the things that he likes to use.
Yeah, no, but where the music's supposed to go. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I remember I did a record with a very high budget record, and the engineer, who was a guy who would work with what's that guy who was married to Jessica Simpson? I saw him on TV working with him. Oh yeah. It was a guy who's done all kinds of boy bands and stuff, and he didn't know thing one about blues, So I had played this solo on a song, and it was 2 verses. We wanted to cut it down to 1, and you couldn't imagine how long this took. I mean, it's so easy. I can do it now in less time than it takes to listen to it.
Sure. You just look at the visual peaks and points of that.
Yeah, use the visual.
You listen for the crash of the cymbal. That's beat 1 of chorus 2.
But I kept telling him, I kept telling him, no, I need to come in, like on the 5. You need to edit, and he apparently did not know what the 5 was.
Okay, next. Mixing. And by the way, I personally like that approach, because one of the things that I find is we all have a skewed perspective of each, especially of our instrument, and our own sense of tone, our own way of dressing that we feel is the best way to dress, and all it takes is a pretty gal to let go. You need to do that, do that, do that. Okay. It takes a trained pair of ears, or just educated in the idiom of the blues.
Yeah.
And other styles of music as well, but there's a genre, obviously. There's a language for this music, and there's a language in which it's been mixed, and there's a whole history that goes behind that. I like to walk away from it and let the engineer do their thing, because obviously when they're done, they feel, from their more of a broad perspective, instead of my monofocus, they feel that sounds good. Then from there. So.
No, that's if you get everybody in there, the classic thing that happens, it's like the bass player wants the bass louder, the drummer wants the drums louder, and and then it just that's not everybody has that kind of ego, but it's not I can't hear what I'm doing, or can you make my guitar sound fatter? Sometimes you have to mix instruments in such a way that they don't sound all that impressive by themselves, but they fit into the mix. Sure. Because you got to see it as a whole, and you know, I've done a bunch of records lately with Rick Estrin, and me and him and have been producing some people together. You know, and that's actually really been cool because he has an extremely singularly focus, you know, on the vocal performance. Because we've been working with some really great singers, and when we do his stuff, he has an extremely singular focus on the nuances of his harmonica. That there's stuff that it wouldn't occur to me to notice. I mean, you know, I'm a blues fan. I don't, you know, but there's definitely subtleties in Rick's and, you know, everybody's harmonica inflections that are not going to jump out at me the way they jump out at him. So, whereas, you know, he might not notice that, you know, there's no kick drum on the song, you know, but he will, you know, he will notice when certain little licks or breaths need to come up or down and stuff like that. So I actually, me and Rick producing together have been a really good